Looking back, I thought Marina Chen and I were inseparable friends. Best friends, the kind who share everything. But here's the thing about best friends, they're the easiest people to deceive. Right up until the moment reality hits you square in the face, you'll still believe everything is innocent fun. Don't misunderstand me. I wasn't the one doing the deceiving. But honestly, I don't think what happened was entirely my fault either. I mean, who expects the girl you debate with about whether Iron Man's tech could defeat Batman's gadgets to secretly harbor romantic feelings for you? After a night of intense physical exertion, you always wake up feeling completely drained. My first panic thought was about my kidneys. No way. Absolutely impossible. That primal masculine fear jolted me into full consciousness. I sat upright, rubbing my bleary eyes. The unfamiliar hotel room surrounded me, disorienting in its strangeness. Next to me, a woman lay fast asleep, her back facing me, a cascade of dark hair spilling across white sheets and revealing the smooth pale skin of her shoulders and back. Wait. This had to be wrong. I must have woken up incorrectly. I flopped back onto the mattress, squeezed my eyes shut tight, and attempted to hypnotize myself into a different reality. This is just a dream. When I open my eyes again, I'll be back in my own familiar bed. Then I snapped my eyes open with determination. Still the same strange ceiling staring back at me. All right, so definitely not a dream then. I surrendered to reality and tried desperately to remember the previous night's events. My head throbbed mercilessly. The memories were completely blank, as if someone had erased them entirely. My restless movement must have disturbed the woman beside me. She released a disgruntled groan and turned over slowly, rubbing her eyes groggily. What time is it even? And then I found myself staring directly into the sleepy eyes of Marina Chen. My entire body went rigid as if I'd been struck by lightning. What's wrong? She asked, looking at me with genuine confusion written across her features. She shifted onto her side, searching for a more comfortable position with her hands tucked beneath the pillow. The movement caused her considerable assets to press together, creating a sight that would make any man question his life trajectory. The laws of physics had never failed me before. The greater the mass, the greater the gravitational pull. Marina noticed exactly where my gaze had landed but showed absolutely no embarrassment. She simply stretched lazily, completely unbothered. Didn't get enough of a good look last night. Her words made me wrench my gaze away immediately. Last night? What exactly happened? You're not going to take responsibility for it. Marina sat up properly, stretching her arms above her head without any self-consciousness whatsoever. That's cool. A guy can't really be blamed. I know I'm irresistible. Compared to her cucumber-cool demeanor, I was a fumbling disaster trying desperately to straighten out my disheveled clothes. I finally retreated to the armchair positioned across the room, attempting my best impression of looking serious and composed. Marina slipped into her clothes and started running her fingers through her tangled hair. She glanced at me and couldn't suppress her laughter. Why are you being so serious about this? Usually in situations like this, I'm the one who's supposed to be at a disadvantage here, right? Can you please tell me what the hell actually happened last night? I woke up and my memory is completely blank, I said, rubbing the bridge of my nose in frustration. Because I was so focused on my own confusion, I completely missed the mischievous flicker that appeared in her eyes. She casually sat down beside me on the sofa as if nothing unusual had occurred and started sighing dramatically. Oh, Julian. Julian, I genuinely thought we were friends. I cannot believe you would do this. She even started to sound genuinely choked up, dabbing delicately at the corner of her eye. After what you did to me last night, now you're going to claim you don't even remember it. You're an absolute monster. Wait, what are you doing exactly? Marina stopped mid-sentence when she noticed me suddenly standing up. Honestly, by the time she was halfway through her emotional speech, I was already breaking out in nervous cold sweat. Even though I genuinely couldn't remember anything that happened, I couldn't be completely certain that blackout Julian wasn't a total scumbag. So I bowed deeply, a full 90 degrees. I am so incredibly sorry. Whoa. Hold on just a second. You're completely freaking me out right now, Marina said, looking genuinely stunned as she physically stopped me from continuing. Was a simple apology not sufficient? Should I get down on my knees? Perhaps offer to metaphorically fall on my sword? She pulled me back down onto the sofa while my mind raced frantically through worst-case scenarios. Okay, listen. I'm not actually mad at all. Here, wipe your face. She handed me a tissue for the cold sweat covering my forehead. Honestly though, I genuinely had no idea you were such a complete lightweight. You were knocked out cold after less than a single drink. I wiped my forehead and accepted the water she offered me. My head gradually started to clear somewhat. Even so, what I apparently did violates every bro code in existence. That's a capital offense in my book. I felt genuinely awful about the whole situation. Marina just saw me as her best buddy and I apparently went and crossed that line. It felt absolutely unforgivable. You know, your strong principles are exactly why I knew I wasn't wrong about you, Marina said seemingly out of nowhere, leaving me completely confused about her meaning. What do you mean by that? I asked automatically, still processing everything. About our little conversation just now. Allow me to make 2 important corrections. Suddenly, she pushed me backward against the sofa cushions. In my weakened, hungover state, I couldn't even struggle effectively. Her beautiful face filled my entire field of vision, and my heart skipped several beats. My eyes flew wide open, my pupils shrinking to pinpricks as Marina's face occupied my complete awareness. She stole the air directly from my lungs, kissing me deeply and intensely until I genuinely felt like I might suffocate. Only then did she mercifully pull away. I gasped desperately for breath. You. Marina cut me off before I could finish. Correction number 1. If anyone should be taking responsibility in this situation, it's definitely me. And correction number 2. It wasn't you who developed feelings for me first. She leaned in again, her voice dropping to a husky whisper directly against my ear. It was me who fell for you. All right, hold up. Freeze frame this moment. Let's rewind to last night and start from the beginning. It was 8 o'clock in the evening. I had just finished wrapping up an exhausting day at work and was warming up for some competitive ranked matches in my favorite online game. I had barely completed one match when my sister Sophia walked into my room clutching her homework folder. Hey brother, can you help me with a few questions? She asked. How many times have I told you to knock before entering my room? I said, letting my headset hang loosely around my neck as I swiveled my chair to face her properly. What if you witnessed something you weren't supposed to see? Sophia rolled her eyes dramatically. Like you watching something inappropriate for children. Where do you even learn phrases like that at your age? I shot back defensively. I was obviously going to say, what if I was in the middle of changing clothes? Whatever. Just forget it already. What's the actual problem you need help with? She opened her textbook to a marked page. What comes after the line, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood? And I took the one less traveled by, which is exactly why my GPS navigation system is constantly screaming at me in frustration, I answered with a grin. Sophia just stared at me with an unimpressed expression. All right. Stop looking at me like that. English literature, correct? Let me take a proper, serious look at it. I gestured for her to place the textbook on my desk. Half an hour later, I was wrapping up my explanation. And so this particular part of the story really expresses the author's deep feelings of homesickness and longing. I finished my detailed explanation and glanced up, only to discover that Sophia wasn't even looking at the passage I was pointing to. Hey, you're the one who specifically asked for my help. Can you at least pay proper attention? I was listening carefully. It's just that your phone screen lit up repeatedly. It looks like someone's desperately trying to reach you, Sophia said, pointing toward my phone resting on the desk. I glanced over and noticed dozens of notification alerts, with more continuing to pop up every few seconds. Who was carpet bombing my phone with messages? I unlocked the screen and discovered that all the messages originated from one single person. Marina Chen. Our families were next-door neighbors, so we had essentially grown up together since childhood. But our relationship dynamics were less like childhood sweethearts and more like partners in crime and mischief. I never once thought she harbored any romantic feelings for me beyond platonic friendship. I mean, we once spent an entire afternoon passionately arguing about whether Superman could realistically defeat Goku in combat. What an absolute joke that debate was. There was nothing to argue about whatsoever. It's obviously Goku who would win. Sophia leaned over my shoulder curiously. Is that Marina messaging you? Yeah, she sent me approximately 50 notification messages. I have absolutely no idea what she wants from me. As I spoke, I sent Marina a single question mark in response. Instantly, the notification storm ceased completely. Marina typed back, "You awake?" Me, "It's only 10 o'clock in the evening." Of course I'm awake. And if I had been sleeping, you definitely would have woken me up with all those messages. Marina, what are you doing right now? Me, helping my sister with her homework assignments. I typed out the reply, then casually said to Sophia, "Okay, we're completely done here. You can head back to your own room now." TCH. You get a single text message from a girl and suddenly you don't have time for your own sister anymore, Sophia muttered not so quietly as she left. I raised an eyebrow challengingly. Hey Sophia, I'm really going to have to discipline you properly. You have absolutely no respect these days. I playfully raised my fist in mock threat. Sophia vanished in a complete blur of motion. Mom. Julian is bullying me again. She yelled dramatically from the hallway. That kid, I said, shaking my head with an amused smile. I returned my attention to texting Marina. Okay, the coast is completely clear now. What's going on? The very moment I sent that message, my phone immediately started ringing. It was her calling directly. Come get some late-night food with me, Marina said without preamble. That's so sudden. Nah, I'm good staying home. My treat, she offered. I was tempted for a split second before growing suspicious. What exactly do you need me to do for you? What are you even talking about? I just have this question I absolutely cannot figure out, and I wanted to ask you about it in person, she said, her voice sounding genuinely troubled and confused. Look, it's getting late even for you. I'm not going out anywhere. You should get some proper rest. If the Roman Empire had never actually fallen, how do you think world history would be dramatically different today? She asked suddenly. Send me the address immediately. After that conversation, my memory just completely cuts out right after I met up with Marina at the designated location. The remainder of that night is just a disconnected blur of fragmented moments and sensations. And now this morning, the same person who was my casual buddy last night was pinning me to a sofa and delivering a very hands-on, intensive lesson in French kissing techniques. Currently, Marina was standing beside me, stretching contentedly like a satisfied cat. Thanks for the meal. She looked like she definitely wanted seconds. Hey, what's with that particular expression on your face? Was my technique really that terrible? Marina asked, immediately noticing my strange expression. I said honestly, it would actually be weirder if your technique was amazingly perfect. Do you do this sort of thing often? Of course not. What kind of person do you think I am? Marina's voice rose slightly in indignation. When something this exceptionally good comes along, my best buddy is obviously the very first person to benefit from it. I remained silent for several long seconds, then pointed at her, then back at myself questioningly. So our relationship dynamic is still buddies. If we were still considered buddies after this experience, we were definitely buddies who knew each other far too intimately well. Like I said earlier, I'm not exactly satisfied with remaining just buddies anymore. But it seems like someone needs a little adjustment time, Marina said, leaning in close again, her fingertips gently tilting my chin upward. How did I never notice before how aggressively forward this woman could be? I looked directly at her. When did these feelings start for you exactly? Marina thought for a brief moment. I don't remember the exact moment, but it's been a genuinely long time. How many years do you think we've known each other? My head is a complete mess right now. Let me process all of this properly and I'll give you a definitive answer. Even though this entire sequence of events feels completely backward, I sighed heavily. Anyway, let's get out of here and head home. Yeah, this situation is getting a little awkward now, isn't it? Marina said, twisting a strand of hair around her finger nervously. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Totally awkward. So, see you later then. Yep. See you soon. And then we both left the hotel separately. We boarded the exact same bus heading in the same direction. We walked into the identical neighborhood together. We stood facing each other directly in front of our respective front doors, which were right next to each other. Me, Marina, fancy meeting you here like this. Need any assistance getting inside, buddy? Damn it. Why do we absolutely have to be next-door neighbors? Julian, where were you last night? You're sneaking into the house like a guilty thief. I had attempted to minimize my presence while entering, desperately hoping to slip back to my bedroom completely unnoticed. Clearly, I had failed spectacularly. Sophia's loud voice cut through the quiet morning air. Her dramatic shout made my father, who was scrolling through his phone, and my mother, who was busy in the kitchen, both immediately look directly at me with questioning expressions. Sophia, I absolutely swear I'm going to discipline you properly one of these days, I said, forcing an awkward laugh. Hey everyone, so you're all gathered here together. So you do actually remember where you live after all? My father said, glaring at me with obvious disapproval. Did you thank Marina properly for taking care of you? How did you know about that? The words escaped before I could stop them. My mother, on the other hand, was beaming radiantly as she looked me over with obvious approval. It was Marina who called us last night. She explained that you had gotten drunk and that she was taking proper care of you. You absolutely need to thank her appropriately later. Understood. Got it, was all I could manage to say while nodding repeatedly. But somehow saying thank you to her right now felt incredibly weird and inappropriate given everything. I finally managed to escape to my bedroom, shutting the door firmly on Sophia, who was obviously trying to follow me inside to extract all the juicy gossip details. I collapsed face first onto my bed, attempting to let my mind go completely blank. It was utterly useless. My brain was completely overflowing with thoughts of Marina and the things she had said to me. Marina Chen, 25 years old, absolutely gorgeous, incredible personality, amazing physique. She had been popular everywhere she went since we were young kids. To claim I wasn't physically attracted to her would be an outright lie. If we were being completely honest, it was basically a coin toss about who started seeing the other as more than just a platonic friend first. She had openly said she liked me, that she was genuinely into me romantically. How could I possibly say I didn't feel exactly the same way? The only significant problem was I had absolutely zero memory of last night's events. If I had been completely sober and aware, I would have made my move on her ages ago without hesitation. On the journey back home, I had tried to subtly ask Marina about last night's events several times, but she skillfully dodged every single question with some vague, flirty response that revealed nothing concrete. Did something genuinely happen between us last night? And should I ask her out properly this weekend? As I pondered these crucial questions, I gradually drifted off to sleep from sheer exhaustion. 5 minutes later, my bedroom door creaked open just a tiny crack. A small head peeked in conspiratorially, confirming I was definitely asleep. Sophia carefully closed the door silently and immediately started texting someone. Sophia, my brother's completely asleep now. Marina, did he say anything at all about last night? Sophia, no, nothing specific. He just looks completely shell-shocked and confused. Marina, what did you actually do to him last night? Marina went completely silent in the text conversation. Sophia's eyes narrowed suspiciously. She sensed there was definitely more to this story than she was being told. So she walked directly out of our apartment and knocked purposefully on the door next to ours. It opened quickly, and a kind-faced woman looked surprised to see her. Sophia dear, are you here to visit Marina? Come on inside, please. Sophia entered politely and knocked gently on Marina's bedroom door. After waiting a reasonable moment with absolutely no response, she carefully pushed it open. Marina was lying motionless on her bed, staring blankly at her dark phone screen with an unreadable expression. She only looked up when she heard the door opening. What are you doing here? Marina asked without much energy. I'm extremely curious. What did you really do to my brother? He's got this whole questioning his entire existence look on his face, Sophia said, plopping down comfortably next to Marina and propping her chin thoughtfully on her hands. I've genuinely never seen him look like that before in his life. Marina thought carefully for a moment, then said slowly, I confessed to your brother in probably the worst way imaginable. So that's why you— Wait, hold on. What exactly? Sophia exclaimed in shock. You didn't actually jump him without permission, did you? Marina reached out and tapped Sophia directly on the forehead. What's wrong with your imagination? You love messing with your brother constantly, don't you? Sophia breathed a massive sigh of relief, rubbing her forehead where Marina had tapped it. Phew, I knew you wouldn't be that directly forward and aggressive. So what did you actually do then? I jumped him, Marina said flatly. After waking up this morning, I took another thorough shower and finally felt somewhat human again. Towel drying my damp hair, I walked into the living room feeling slightly more normal. Where's Sophia right now? Before my father could answer my question, my mother, who was busy setting the dining table, said matter-of-factly, she went next door to visit Marina. Go get her and tell her dinner is ready. Of all the possible times, why does it have to be right now? I scratched the back of my head in frustration. Seeing Marina right at this moment felt like it would be supremely awkward and uncomfortable. Though judging by her completely calm reaction this morning, I was probably the only one who felt that intense awkwardness. I never thought I could possibly be such a complete coward. I sighed internally but agreed to go. I draped the towel casually over my shoulders and walked out the front door, deciding firmly that I would ask Marina to see a movie with me this upcoming weekend while I was retrieving Sophia. My thoughts might be cowardly and uncertain, but my actions absolutely couldn't be hesitant. Marina had already put herself out there vulnerably. The absolute least I could do was respond appropriately and honestly. Still, if we both genuinely liked each other romantically, why didn't we just communicate about it openly? It took me a full minute to walk the mere 2 steps required to reach her front door. I finally decided that because I genuinely couldn't remember last night's events at all, it didn't officially count as our beginning. We needed a more official, proper start to our relationship. As I was thinking this through, I raised my hand to knock, but the door suddenly opened before I could make contact. Marina and I stared at each other directly through the open door frame. I was fresh out of the shower, my hair still noticeably damp and messy, water droplets still dripping down my neck. I hadn't even noticed this detail, but Marina's eyes were very obviously scanning me up and down appreciatively. It wasn't until Sophia coughed loudly and deliberately from behind Marina that she finally snapped out of her trance. Ahem. Marina instantly came to her senses, stepping aside politely but still staring intensely at my exposed neck. You should know I'm doing you an absolutely huge favor right now by physically stopping myself from jumping you immediately. I quickly shooed Sophia, who was clearly planning to stick around for the dramatic confrontation, back to our apartment. The little troublemaker made an exaggerated face at me before reluctantly leaving. I looked at Marina, completely confused about her statement. How exactly are you stopping yourself? With my immense willpower and self-control, obviously. You know, I never realized before that you were such a complete degenerate, I said while silently buttoning the top button of my casual pajama shirt, which apparently made Marina finally tear her appreciative eyes away with an expression of genuine regret. She was wearing simple comfortable sweatpants and a plain t-shirt, leaning casually against the door frame with her arms crossed. Hey, don't say things like that. When there's a genuinely beautiful view directly in front of you, it would be incredibly rude not to appreciate it properly. If our genders were completely swapped, I would be calling you a total creep right now without hesitation. It's definitely not about gender at all, Marina shrugged dismissively. Anyway, were you coming over to get Sophia for dinner? Yeah, that's right, but there's something else I wanted to discuss with you as well, I said, my tone turning noticeably more serious. Can we talk about it later? Is it all right if I join you all for dinner? Marina asked, looking genuinely helpless. My mom's out for the evening. I just realized we have absolutely no food in our house. I agreed without thinking twice. Sure, that's perfectly fine. But it's genuinely weird to hear you ask so politely like this. Usually you just barge right in without asking. Hearing this observation, Marina gave me a look like I was a complete block of wood. That's because before I was coming over as your best buddy. From now on forward, I'm planning on changing my official status. She gave me a playfully flirtatious wink. I'll let my parents know you're coming, I said. I wasn't so dense that I needed to ask her what status she specifically meant. I just said goodbye politely and went back home, leaving her front door slightly ajar behind me. I went directly to the kitchen to retrieve another bowl and place setting. My mother noticed me immediately and said, "The rice is already served for everyone." I didn't stop my task. "Marina is coming over to join us for dinner tonight." "Oh, well, in that case, I need to tidy up the place a bit," she said, rushing out of the kitchen and immediately starting to order my father, who was lounging comfortably on the sofa, to help her clean various surfaces. My father gave me a questioning look with obvious confusion, so I explained the situation again as I carefully placed the extra bowl on the dining table. Then both my father and mother started cleaning together enthusiastically, even recruiting Sophia to help with the effort. "It's not like she's never been here before. Why are you making such an enormous deal out of it?" I asked, completely baffled by their behavior. Sophia, acting wise and knowing beyond her actual years, said mysteriously, "This time is genuinely different from all the other times. There's no way they know what happened last night, right?" I suddenly felt an unexpected surge of panic rising in my chest, though I wasn't entirely sure what I was panicking about specifically. My gut instinct told me this dinner was absolutely not going to be as peaceful as I initially thought. Marina didn't keep us waiting very long at all. About 5 minutes later, our slightly open front door was pushed open gently, and our next-door neighbor walked in looking incredibly put together and presentable. She had clearly made a deliberate effort to dress up nicely, but had chosen simple, understated clothes to avoid looking too obvious about her intentions. Her long hair was neatly combed and styled, and she wore a perfect, polite smile on her face. She bowed slightly respectfully to my parents. "Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Rivers. I'm sorry to impose on you tonight." "Impose? Don't be silly at all, Marina. You're practically family already. Please see if you like the food. If not, I can absolutely whip up a few more dishes," my mother said, beaming with genuine affection. It was abundantly obvious how much she adored the girl she had watched grow up since childhood. My father, who was usually quite stern and serious, had a warm smile on his face. "Welcome, Marina. Please make yourself at home," he said cheerfully. Sophia was even more direct in her approach, grabbing Marina's hand enthusiastically. "Come on in, Marina. Just sit wherever you want, like you always do normally." "Well, I don't mind if I do," Marina said with a genuine laugh, then very naturally sat down right next to me at the dining table. I, on the other hand, had been staring at her like she was a complete stranger I had never met before. Who is this person? The Marina I knew always barged in casually like a tomboy without any ceremony. She had never once been this prim, proper, and polite before in her entire life. Was this a total personality transplant? And why were my parents and sister acting like this behavior was completely normal and expected? The atmosphere at the dinner table was exceptionally warm and friendly throughout the meal. Marina was the absolute perfect guest, complimenting my mother's cooking enthusiastically and even gently scolding Sophia for being a picky eater about her vegetables. I just mechanically shoveled rice into my mouth like an emotionless eating machine. My attention constantly drifted sideways to Marina sitting beside me. Her arm would accidentally brush against mine, or she would coincidentally reach for the exact same dish as me at the same moment, then give me an apologetic smile that seemed anything but accidental. "These spare ribs are really delicious. You should definitely try some. The meatballs are absolutely amazing too. Here, have more. Don't forget to eat your vegetables properly. They're genuinely good for you." Marina kept consistently putting food selections on my plate so naturally it felt like I was the guest being served rather than her. My parents and sister were all pretending to eat normally, but I could tell their complete attention was focused on us. And they were thoroughly enjoying the show we were providing. What was our awkwardness? Some kind of appetizer for their entertainment. Fortunately, while I was absolutely freaking out internally, I somehow managed to keep a straight face externally and even returned the gesture by putting some food selections on Marina's plate in return. She of course acted perfectly normal and appreciative. Just when I thought we might successfully make it through the entire meal without any major incident, Sophia piped up mischievously, her eyes glinting with obvious mischief. "Julian, why do you keep staring at Marina like that?" My expression froze momentarily before I replied as calmly as possible, "You're seeing things that aren't there. Julian probably just didn't sleep well last night at all. He's a little out of it today." Oh, speaking of which, would you like some soup? Marina said with a serene, peaceful smile. She then casually took my empty bowl directly from my hand and carefully ladled some hot soup into it without asking permission. Her calling me Julian instead of my full name Julian Rivers was a subtle shift, but it was so much more intimate and personal that it gave me actual goosebumps. What's wrong, Julian? Are you not feeling well? Marina noticed my slight physical reaction and asked with soft, genuine concern. Her voice was so sweet and caring it made my skin crawl slightly. I was starting to clearly see her complete game plan now. Starting with our conversation before dinner, this woman had launched an all-out assault on my defenses, and she wasn't going to stop until she had completely sunk my battleship. Should I tell her I was already at the bottom of the ocean from the very start? Also, Marina was getting way too cocky and confident. I needed to knock her down a peg or two. I drank my soup with a calm, composed expression. My free hand slipped down casually by my side under the table. And then I suddenly grabbed Marina's hand firmly under the table where nobody could see. Marina, who was in the middle of an animated conversation with my mother about cooking techniques, faltered for a split second before seamlessly continuing her sentence. Beneath the table, completely hidden from view, the hand I was holding gently turned over. Her fingertips traced delicate patterns on my palm before her fingers slipped through mine, enveloping my hand completely in hers. I'm finished eating. 3 minutes later, I stood up abruptly and headed directly for the kitchen. I admitted completely. I'm absolutely no match for this sorceress. We're not even playing in the same league. As I washed the dishes methodically, I tried to figure out exactly how I was going to properly ask Marina out on an official date. A familiar voice suddenly sounded beside me unexpectedly. Marina had appeared silently at my side and started rinsing the soapy suds off the dishes I had washed. I'll take care of rinsing them. Thanks for the help. Here. I handed her a clean plate and asked as casually as I could manage, are you free this upcoming weekend? No specific plans yet. Why do you ask? Come out with me then. Okay, I'd like that. Marina turned and smiled genuinely at me. I'm looking forward to it already. I was starting to get somewhat used to her new persona and behavior. Honestly though, I still cannot get over how dramatically different you're acting now. Finally realized your best buddy is actually a total bombshell. Oh, I've known that from the very beginning. I'm just not used to our friendship suddenly turning into this so quickly. There's absolutely no such thing as a purely platonic friendship between a guy and a girl. I'm genuinely amazed I managed to hold out until last night before confessing. Speaking of which, the dishes were almost completely done. I pulled Marina gently into my bedroom and locked the door behind us for privacy. When I turned around, I saw her sitting on my bed, shyly playing with her hair. Julian, this is so sudden. I mean, I don't mind at all, but isn't this a little inappropriate? Your parents are right outside in the living room. You've switched to calling them mom and dad pretty fast. They would be absolutely thrilled to hear it, I said, choosing to sit in the chair at my desk instead. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees seriously. I need to confirm something important. Did anything actually happen between us last night? It's different when you're sober, isn't it? Though I was planning on telling you myself later anyway. Seeing that I was genuinely serious, Marina dropped her coy act completely. Julian, do you honestly think I'm the kind of person who would take advantage of someone when they're drunk? I shook my head firmly. That's exactly why I'm asking. Because I know you're not that kind of person. There you go then. She stood up and walked over to me, looking down directly into my eyes. Hers were bright and crystal clear with honesty. I'll admit it openly. I've been into you romantically for a very long time. Even though you said it before, it still feels incredibly sudden, I said, unconsciously pulling my shirt tighter around myself defensively. But listen carefully. If I, Marina Chen, am going to win you over completely, it's going to be when you're wide awake and fully aware. So you know without any doubt that it was me who made you feel this way. As she spoke, she leaned down slowly, bracing her hands on the arms of my chair, effectively trapping me. Her long hair brushed against my cheek, tickling me slightly. I could see a fiery passion burning in her eyes, a flame that was getting closer and closer. I feel like I've definitely been in this exact situation before. A moment later, Marina pulled back, wiping her lips with the back of her hand casually, and added to her previous statement. Just like that. So last night, you just got drunk and passed out completely. And me? I set the scene for this morning's awakening. My head was pretty fuzzy from drinking too, so some of my actions were a bit impulsive and not well thought through. But when I woke up this morning, I thought, hey, maybe just going with this whole "we already slept together" scenario isn't such a terrible idea after all. Then why are you telling me the complete truth now? Because what little conscience I have left told me it's better not to get on the train before you've bought the ticket properly. Then what exactly are you doing right now? I'm collecting the interest on my investment. Marina was now sitting comfortably in my lap, hugging me like a koala bear, her head resting lazily on my shoulder. She had completely dropped the formal act. Suddenly, she sat up straight, her hands placed on my shoulders. So about this weekend, where exactly were you planning on taking me? I leaned back in my chair, my gaze shifting from the ceiling to meet hers directly. I'm taking you to go buy that ticket officially. For a rare moment, Marina was genuinely stunned silent. Surprise flickered obviously in her eyes. She was about to speak when there was a sudden knock on the door. My mother's voice came through clearly. Marina honey, your mom's back home. She wants you to come back. Hey, why is the door locked? Marina scrambled to her feet frantically, checking her clothes with obvious panic. Quick, check me over. Does anything look out of place or suspicious? Could you please not say things that are so easily misunderstood? My hands were nowhere near you inappropriately, I said as I went to unlock the door. I thought you were so bold and confident. Why are you panicking now? I don't want your mom to think I'm some wild girl who can't control herself properly in other people's houses. After confirming she looked completely normal, Marina breathed a sigh of relief. Then, under my mother's knowing, obviously teasing smile, she said her polite goodbyes and left. Then my mother turned that exact same smile on me directly. She patted my shoulders sagely. Marina is a genuinely good girl. You better not hurt her. Sophia, who had reappeared mysteriously, chimed in agreement, yeah, exactly. My father from his position on the sofa added his thoughts, your mother and I were just wondering when you were finally going to bring home a daughter-in-law. Looks like it's finally happening. Sophia echoed again, yeah. Ouch. What are you getting involved for, you little munchkin? Go to bed already, I said, pinching Sophia's cheek playfully, ignoring her protests as I pushed her into her room and closed the door firmly. Then, with a mix of exasperation and genuine curiosity, I asked my parents, how did you two even know about us? Kids, my father and mother said simultaneously, exchanging a knowing smile. It's called experience. How did Marina and I used to act around each other in school? We would study together constantly, copy each other's homework shamelessly, and gossip with our mutual friends. We would binge-watch anime together for hours, attend conventions, and play video games competitively until we were seeing red from exhaustion. We went to the movies frequently together, but always action-packed or thriller films. Those overly sappy romantic movies were never our thing or interest. We often went shopping together, but Marina always claimed she was a professional bargain hunter, and for convenience, we would always somehow end up buying matching hoodies or t-shirts. Wait a minute. Was she trying to trick me into wearing couples outfits even back then? The point is, because we spent so much time together and were so completely comfortable with each other, I had absolutely no idea how to plan a proper romantic surprise and sweep her off her feet impressively. I wanted it to be genuinely special and memorable. As I was pondering this important question, the weekend arrived. After bribing Sophia with a complete KFC bucket meal to help me pick out an appropriate outfit, I walked next door and knocked gently on Marina's front door. Marina's mother opened it. Julian, Marina is still getting ready. Come inside and have a seat. I'll go hurry her along. It's okay, Mrs. Chen. I can wait patiently, I said. I had been inside their house a million times throughout my life, but this was the first time I had ever felt genuinely nervous in front of her mother. Mrs. Chen looked me up and down appraisingly, then smiled warmly. You look very handsome. That girl of mine is going to absolutely love it. I'm trusting you with her today, so you better take excellent care of her. How does the entire world seem to know we're going on a date? That girl has been completely distracted all week long. She keeps blushing for absolutely no reason. And she even asked me to teach her how to do her makeup properly. It wasn't hard to notice at all, Mrs. Chen laughed. Ah, to be young again. Seeing you two together reminds me of when I first met Marina's father. Okay, Mom. Northwest trips down memory lane, Marina said, walking out of her room. She was wearing a cute hoodie and comfortable jeans with just a touch of makeup applied. Have you been waiting long? Not at all. You look great. I didn't look great before. You look especially great today. Well, Mrs. Chen, we'll be going now. I'll bring Marina back tonight safely. Her mother was surprisingly cool about everything. Actually, you don't have to bring her back tonight if you don't want to. Mom. You're selling me out already. Marina grumbled, then walked out the door with me. On the street, Marina had her hands tucked casually in her hoodie pocket. So where are we going today? Anywhere you want to go, I asked. You're the one who asked me out, and you're asking me. We can do whatever you want first. I have absolutely no ideas whatsoever. I'm all yours today. I had already called a ride-sharing service. In that case, I'm planning on selling you off. What do you think is a fair price for you? Marina smacked my arm playfully. Don't you dare objectify me. Okay, stop. My bad. I'm sorry, all right. Some article I read online once said that the holy trinity of date spots are the aquarium, the movie theater, and the Ferris wheel. So today I took Marina to the movies first. She linked her arm through mine naturally as we walked inside together. This isn't any different from when we usually hang out together. We're not usually in this position though, I said, using my free hand to scan our digital tickets. The movie for that anime you're obsessed with just came out, right? You haven't seen it yet. Marina nodded affirmatively. But are you sure you're okay with it? You haven't seen the show at all. It's fine. I used my power of extreme binge-watching and finished the whole series yesterday. I handed Marina the tickets and went to buy a large popcorn and 2 sodas. She didn't let go of my arm until we were seated comfortably in the theater. I thought you were going to take me to see a romance movie, Marina said, holding the popcorn bucket with one hand and sipping her soda. I reached over and grabbed a handful of popcorn. I know you too well. You're not interested in those kinds of movies at all, are you? That's absolutely true. The last time I tried to watch one with my mom, I fell asleep halfway through, she said, popping a piece of popcorn into her mouth. We chatted casually like that until the lights dimmed and the movie started playing. Our attention was completely fixed on the giant screen. A little while later, I finished my handful of popcorn. I held my hand out to her expectantly, giving her a look that said, "More, please." A small smile played on Marina's lips. She understood my meaning completely. Then she placed her hand in mine instead, lacing her fingers through mine. Oh well, this was fine too. I turned back to the screen, took a sip of my soda, and squeezed her hand gently. We both lost ourselves in the spectacular audiovisual experience. 2.5 hours later, Marina and I were stretching contentedly in front of the theater. Our movements were so perfectly synchronized, we could have piloted a giant robot together. We both sighed in complete satisfaction simultaneously. That was absolutely awesome. You just have to see anime films in a theater, right? And those 2 characters at the end, what a tragic. Stop right there. Any more and you're going to start ugly crying. What are you talking about? Marina looked at me, the excitement still sparkling obviously in her eyes. What's next on the agenda? I thought for a moment. Want to ride the Ferris wheel? Sure. I haven't been on one since elementary school. After dinner, I took Marina's hand as we walked out of the mall together. The afternoon sun was bright, shining down from a cloudless blue sky. I looked away from the sky and watched as the amusement park employee closed the door to our Ferris wheel car. As the car slowly rose, the cityscape was reflected in Marina's eyes, the bright sun gleaming off a patchwork of buildings. The light glinting off the glass of skyscrapers, she murmured appreciatively. Wow, it looks so different from up here. Hey, look. You can see our neighborhood from here. You're right. What do you think they're doing right now? I asked, following her gaze. Marina laughed. Who knows? Sophia is probably scrambling to finish her homework, though. Speaking of which, the mood is pretty perfect right now. When are you planning on letting me buy that ticket? I said casually. You're that impatient already? I was planning on taking you to the aquarium later. Well, I've been waiting for over 10 years. So you're planning on making your move at the aquarium? That's pretty romantic. Very characteristic of you. Besides, the whole Ferris wheel confession thing feels a little cliché, don't you think? It's been done in so many stories. That's true, Marina smiled faintly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, the anticipation in her eyes dimming slightly. But, I said suddenly, taking her hand firmly, why do you think so many stories use that cliché? A rare look of surprise crossed her face. Her eyes widened, but she quickly found the answer. Because it works. Correct, I smiled and leaned forward slightly. Miss Marina Chen, are you willing to purchase my exclusive one-way ticket? In that case, Mr. Julian Rivers, I hope it's non-refundable, Marina replied with a smile, leaning forward to meet me. Our reflections in each other's eyes grew closer and closer until they completely blocked out the sun, leaving only the silhouette of two people kissing on the wall of the Ferris wheel car. Next stop, the aquarium. By the time we arrived, it wasn't just the time that had changed, but the entire dynamic between us. Compared to our previous unspoken touches, our actions now felt official and acknowledged. The ocean breeze is so nice. Look, the fish are right up ahead. Marina made no attempt to hide her good mood, pulling me by the hand enthusiastically into the aquarium. I wrapped an arm around her slim waist as we took a photo together in front of the dolphin tank. Marina shook my arm excitedly, her chest pressing against my bicep without her even noticing as she watched the penguin show with childlike wonder. With an instructor's help, we fed the seals together and even got to give the little guys high fives, which delighted Marina. We laughed at each other wearing fluffy polar bear hats and took a ton of pictures together. By the time we walked out of the aquarium, the sky had turned dark, dotted with a few bright stars. The bus was nearly empty at this hour. Marina, exhausted but happy after a full day of fun, rested her head comfortably on my shoulder. I haven't had this much fun in forever. I was slumped in my seat, too tired to move. My fitness tracker probably has me at number 1 for today. All I want to do right now is go home, take a long hot shower, and collapse in bed. Me too, Marina said. She tilted her head up slightly, her beautiful eyes looking at me, her voice lazy. In that case, want to shower together? I stared at her. Let me tell you, our relationship is now official. So even if I did something to you, no one would say a thing. And in this situation, you still dare to provoke me. Watch out or I'll do this and then that to you. My inner monologue was firing off like a machine gun. Then I refused. Let's not. What? Marina raised an eyebrow. I should remind you that even though nothing happened last time, we have seen each other in our birthday suits already. That's exactly why. I don't know what I might do. We're both exhausted today, I said. And this time I'm wide awake. Whatever you say, Marina mumbled, burying her head in the crook of my neck, her voice already laced with sleepiness. I relaxed my shoulder to let her get more comfortable. Go to sleep, I whispered. I'll wake you when we get there. She hummed in agreement and closed her eyes. And just like that, we went home.